Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Sabelhaus. I'm an assistant professor in mechanical engineering here at BU, and I am also one of the rule followers for the slides. So there are no videos here, but everything, you can imagine everything moving, hopefully. So I'm really happy to be at the end of this because everyone else has justified my research for me, because my work seeks to combine all of that autonomy and the algorithmic part that we heard at the beginning of this Research on Tap series with some of the new types of robots that Tom and Sheila just finished talking about, which introduces a number of really novel challenges that my group seeks to go and develop solutions to. In particular, if we think about problems with robots navigating their environments and limitations of rigid robots going and doing so, things like the limitations of these robots responding in time to an otherwise unknown response, things like slipping and falling. A lot of those types of those situations have really good access to models and to sensing and things like that. And we would want the robot to maybe perform the action maybe better in a way that maybe we would not have had if not have had that interaction that was not planned. On the other hand, if we build the robots differently with some of these soft types of mechanisms, we almost have gone a little bit in the other direction, in the sense of the robots are sometimes a little bit too simple to go and perform the task in the first place. And so we run into issues with things like maybe the models are a little bit too maybe computationally intensive to use for some of the types of controllers that folks talked about at the beginning of the talk, or are maybe a little bit simple for the types of situations that maybe don't even have some of the contact built in. Or maybe at the end here, something where the best that we could do is pre-calculate an action and click go and hope that the robot goes and does the best that it can, and rely on some of this softness to take care of things that we know kind of in the end isn't always going to get us all the way there towards completing a task. So my group seeks to combine these basically by addressing from top to the bottom these different problems. So the first thing there looks like doing some of these designs in a way that we can go and implement some of the autonomy with respect to things like the amount of actuation and sensing we would like. So we use distributed artificial muscles, shape memory alloy actuators in our particular robots. And we think about these things about how much do you need to incorporate these technologies that are relatively well developed, maybe in contrast to something like Tommaso's work that's really cutting edge with the design. We're thinking about taking things that people know how to use and instead integrating them in a way that we can now sort of do some of the intelligence on. And similarly with some of the simulation models, thinking about things that maybe are not completely perfect, but get us close enough and are maybe fast enough to compute for us to use. So this is an example balancing robot that my group was working on just recently. And then with respect to some of the intelligence part, we can think of a couple different ways to make this problem more tractable. One way to think about these things is, again, with modeling approximations, things where maybe we don't want the robot to do exactly that perfect motion because we would have had a rigid robot anyway, if we did want to do that anyway. And so maybe doing something where we're approximating the robot as a model that we already know how to work with gets us something like this teach and repeat type of motion. Or something along the lines here of planning over some pre-calculated actions, maybe something where we don't need to do the computation, the really complicated computation in real time, and choose maybe a suboptimal result. But most importantly, I think Christos in particular talked a lot about safety, and we're thinking about that too. You know, there's these ideas about maybe soft robots being safer when they go and touch humans, stroke victims, things like that. But what does that really mean computationally speaking? We're trying to answer some of that. And so here's an example of our thermal artificial muscles not overheating when applying one of these verifiably safe algorithms. So that's all I've got for y'all.